While our deacon earns his keep very efficiently, just a little bit of background to what's going to happen now and to the film, a short film we're going to see. I think it was the second reading today that talked about us filling our minds with everything that's true, noble, everything that's good and pure, everything that we love and honour, and everything that can be thought virtuous of worthy or worthy of praise. Well, I think the Stecker Children's Home and the initiatives it's taken in Malawi is one of those things to fill our minds with. 6 years ago, Gift Thompson arrived in Portobello to study at Queen Margaret University for 6 months and to live here in Portobello with Emma Wood, in charge of sociology at the University of Queen Margaret University. He was the second member of the Stecker Children's Home in Blantyre in Malawi to become a member of our parishes. Sandra had been here for a few months before him. Stecker, Stepchildren's Awareness, was founded by Godknows and Helen Maseko. Godknows had been himself a victim of human trafficking, or rather very much a survivor of it, who had married Helen and who then found very sadly they were unable to have children, so felt drawn to start a home for kids on the street in Malawi, which, given that Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world, there were a fair number, to say the least. And Gift was one of those who found a true home at Stecker, and through the connection with the Aviard and Wood family, he came here to study, which was a massive step, given that only 1% of Malawians are able to go to university. And from the start, he made a great impact by his dignity and charm. And I think he felt at home, so much so that he was baptized here on Epiphany Sunday at the beginning of 2018, just before returning home. And he returned in September for a 4-year degree. And he's stayed on since then for an extra year, and he's just been awarded a second degree, a master's. So we want to congratulate him on that. And Godknows visited here and spoke. We became more aware of life in Blantyre and in Malawi. And at that stage, the home having been going on for about 10 years, there was a real challenge as the kids grew older. How were they going to find employment? There was a real need to learn appropriate trades so they could support themselves. And we became involved with one or two other charities, like the Rotary, in helping fundraise for the workshops that Godknows wanted to build on a plot of land he'd bought near where he'd been brought up, in the countryside, about half an hour from the home, where the plan was to build workshops and offer teaching that would lead to possible employment. And in 2020, there was a group going from here to try to renew our link with Lego Parish in Tanzania. And we looked at the map and thought, Malawi's not far from Tanzania, though we didn't quite know the complexities of African geography and transport. Why not go there too? And I think 11 or 12 of us spent several days in Blantyre, visiting the home and visiting too the site of where the workshops were planned and were already beginning to be built. There was the pandemic straight after that, and we haven't perhaps really updated everybody as to how things have developed since then. And the Stecker trustees here, we decided that we needed to make a film to show, be able to communicate to people what was happening with the workshops. And so Ayo, who's with us, and I hope will come forward at the appropriate time too, who's a Nigerian studying at Queen Margaret University, he put together this film with Gift's help and the help of others, especially for us. There's something about Stecker and a little about the workshops, and there are a few familiar faces that you'll recognize because various parishioners who've been on among the pilgrims from the parish going there in 2020 were interviewed as to their experience, our experience. And just to warn you, there's a little advertisement at the end, because God knows always the entrepreneur is now seeking to build a women's hostel near the workshops. It's a particular focus on trying to raise gender awareness and make it possible for the local women to be able to study in these workshops. And then Gift will speak to us a little bit and say farewell, very sadly. So, we're going to start the film. Now, we've experienced last night that those at the back might have difficulty hearing, might have difficulty seeing, might have difficulty reading the subtitles. So everybody is welcome to
Gift Thompson. I've been part of the St. John's and Mary Magdalene community whilst I've been studying at Queen Margaret University, but I'm from the Steka home in Malawi. Steka is a children's home for 100 young people, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like a big loving family. Godnos is like our father and his wife Helen is our mother, and we share out the chores just as any family would. But what is really special and unusual for Malawi is that Steka promotes gender equality in everything that it does. Not only by making sure the boys do their share of cooking and cleaning, but by making sure girls are encouraged in their education to develop careers. Steka has a strong relationship with St. John's and Mary Magdalene, and some of the parishioners visited my home.
I remember thinking, they're very excited because we're coming, but it wasn't, it was because Gift was coming home, and that really brought it home as the big brother's coming back, and that really, I think for me, made it realise that this is the family home, not just a home, but a family home, because they were super excited to their brother coming back, which was really sweet.
But going and meeting the children in their own home and finding their joy and their excitement.
And just also the way throughout the sense of community and vitality and love, as the older children were so careful and tender towards the younger children.
I pray to God that Steka home, children's home, continue in Jesus' name. Amen.
Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world. It is affected by droughts and floods, and the government has to save its population of 20 million people with a budget similar to that of the city of Edinburgh Council. So, less than 1% of the population can go to college. In 2016, with the support of Scottish donors, God knows NGO Steka managed to buy land needed to help realize his vision of building a vocational skills center which would operate like a college, teaching people the skills they need for locally targeted work.
Ine ndine Bridget Galiati, komanso ine ndi amfumu akampaka mwino wako wadera lino. Ine tusanabwere kuno moyo wanga unali wovuta kwambiri, ndinali ndi umphawi wochuluka umene ndimasowekera thandizo loti ndingafike imene ndikuonekera pano.
Mangokhala ndinalibenso chochita ende ndilibe chiyembekezo choti ndingathe kukhala pa ntchito ine iliyonse kapena kuti kuyamba bizinesi iliyonse chifukwa ndinalibe upangiri kapena luso.
Skulu inandikanika ndi ana ndikhumbo langa kuti ndikathe ndikamaliza zimene ndikupangazi ndizikapangaza ndekha ndikatha kumathopeza ndalama kumathandiza kusamalira nanga ngati kumbali ya school fees komanso moyo wa kuthupiwu uzathandiza zofunikira zosowa zawo.
Tikwazi kupanda skulu imene ikweza ati nyamata akungoenda akusowa zochita mwina kumangoba mamizimu alisikana umangotenga mimba kumabwera kwa skulu imene iyi ineyo ndi chimwemwe komanso kusangalala kuti dera lino lisintha.
There's so many big problems in the world that you need governments to sort out big problems, but they're just tackling an issue where they live.
This is so important. Not only was it going to be teaching skills for the children when they grew up and had to leave Steka, but it involved a local community who would then learn as well the good values that God knows had in mind for sharing.
And for a fact, I knew that I wouldn't have been able to go to school at all. I wouldn't have been able to be educated, maybe even be able to speak the way I'm speaking right now. It's very, very hard to imagine what our lives as young Malawians would have been if it wasn't for Steka and Steka Skills.
Their future, I hope, is supported and will continue to develop and grow, and people can learn from them.
My experience of the home is of somewhere where there's love and kindness and practical charity and support, and it does make my heart burn within me.
With their strong local connections and unique award-winning critical dialogue approach, the Steka team have given many women and girls the confidence to imagine themselves as independent earners and to enroll on our courses. But as some are oppressed by experiences of gender inequality and poverty, they struggle to complete them. So, we want to build a women's hostel where these women can live in a safe space for as many weeks as it takes to gain their qualifications and the skills they need. Get involved and find out more at www.stekaskills.com.
St. John's and Mary Magdalena, thank you for your support.
Can we invite Gift and Emma forward, just for an update and to give Gift, sadly, the chance to say goodbye.
So just a very quick word from me, because I think you'll really want to hear Gift. Oops. But I just really wanted to give an absolutely heartfelt thank you to this parish and Mary Magdalene's parish. This parish in particular, I guess, for making it possible for both Sandra and Abigail and Gift to thrive in Portobello, because it wouldn't have happened without you. And I really genuinely mean that. It wouldn't have happened without you. We were able to offer them, you know, a roof over their heads and somewhere to live. Queen Margaret was able to offer them a university, a degree, an education, which should be everybody's human right. But without this church looking after their spiritual needs, which are incredibly important, because Steka is a Catholic children's home, then none of it would have worked. They'd have been too unhappy, too homesick, too lonely. So it really has been the most amazing partnership, I think, between the church communities, the university, and I guess in a tiny way our own family. And it's a very beautiful thing to see what's happened, and I'm sure we should all take great pride in not only the development of that Sandra and Abigail were able to achieve for themselves, but gifts going back not with 1 degree but with 2 degrees. An undergraduate degree in public sociology, which is about helping build the capacity of community, and an MSc in international leadership. So he's in a great position now to help sustain the centres that you've helped build, and we can sustain this into the future. So we do a great big thank you, not only to that, but also the fact that our charity, Steka Skills, is supported by you through fundraising, but also in governance, because Gary Zolti and Father Jock are both on the board of trustees. So, and everything that we do, nobody's paid a fee, there's no overheads. There's no overheads. So every single penny that we ever raise, because of the generosity of volunteers, goes towards making that change that you could see there happening in Malawi. So over to Gift.
Thank you. It's sort of like very, very like emotional thing, and thinking that I would say that, like, you know, I'm saying goodbye to sort of like my second home, and this, I call it my second home because of the warmth and the welcome that, like, people in Portobello, people in St. John's have been able to show me. And like Father Joke was saying that, like, personally, I wasn't born a Catholic, even though Steka has got a Catholic background. We all go to a Catholic church, but it wasn't until I was here that I made a decision to become a full Catholic, get baptized, and fully confirmed. So this only happened because of the welcome and sort of like the love and the support that I was shown. And also, sort of like on a more personal level, again, it's been just really fantastic being part of this community. It was here as well that I like I said, that I got baptized, but also I did to meet my godfather, Chris Jones, as well as my godmother, Kathy Garanga. So it's sort of like, it's been quite a lot of things that have happened here that, like, I always treasure and always remember that. But also just being part of the church community, I've also learned a lot. I've learned a lot about community that, like, I would say that, like, the sense of community that I've seen that is sort of like lacking in Scotland, I was able to see it here. And even just being able to go and catch up with people after a mass is something that, you know, sort of like brought that sense of community to me. And singing in the choir as well has been really nice. And suddenly, through Derek, who is not here, he's in Medjugorje, and through Derek's optimism, I was even able as well to go to Lord's. And I must say that I've never seen so many Catholics in one place and from all over the place. And just being there and being able to as well experience other forms of Catholicism that I would have otherwise not been able to experience if I was in Malawi. So St. John's being here gave me that opportunity, which I'm really grateful for. But also, sort of like, it's about real friendship and support. And I will, like Emma was saying, that I will be going back to Malawi with not only 1 degree, but 2 degrees. And sort of like the ability as well, I've learned here, you know, to be able to play piano, but then at the same time as well, because of these degrees, seriously, I do promise that I'll be able to go back to Malawi and apply the different kinds of knowledge that, the difference of knowledge that I've obtained here, not only from the academic side of things, but also, like, you know, from the different sort of like people that I've met and learned from here at church. And despite all this great progress that has been talked about, is that I'm also ashamed to say that the women, I'm also ashamed to say that the way in which women are treated in some of the areas in Malawi is sort of like, in a very ritualistic and gender-based violence. They suffer, you know, the suffering that they face is sort of like hampering our success. And so until we can be able to build the Helen Maseko Women's Hostel, we won't be able to sort of like bring the profound cultural changes that is needed. So we know sort of like how to address these issues using our award-winning critical dialogue approach. And we do have sort of like a school and students, like, you know, Ayo, like was here, getting that sort of support, being able to help us with making films that help us communicate what's happening. And even other students as well at Queen Margaret helping us to fundraise, you know, build in sort of like for raising funds to build that hostel has been really, really amazing. So if anyone in this community as well would like to be part of this next part of our journey, please do let us know. But even though I'm going back on Tuesday, but like St. John's and the church community will always be in my heart. And because it's the church as well, spiritually, I think that I'll always be here. So thank you so much for everything.